Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new here, this is Messmas, and what Messmas is this year, at least, is a month-long project where I try to use all of my makeup before the end of the year. And I started this at, like a little bit before December. And I cannot use that item of makeup again until I've cycled all through that category. So if I've used all my bronzers, if I use a bronzer, I can't use that again until I've used all my bronzers and I can pull them back out. The rules are kind of fast and loose, but my channel is also really focused on loving my collection as the way it currently is and being critical of my own collection and also new makeup releases. So if that sounds like great content for you, I'd love to have you subscribe. Hi, if you've been following along with Messmas, I have an interesting update for you. We had one of those days, which I was kind of fearing, where I have the last item of a category and I don't think it's gonna match the rest of the things in my category that I'm working, like the rest of the things that I'm working with today. I just don't think it goes. And I think that's just like the reality of the way I've set this up. And there could have been a smarter way to set this up, but again, I've always kind of talked about how I wanted to really prove that I can do something whenever we got to this point in the series. So we are on the last blush today. Isn't that fun? I think that's kind of fun. I honestly thought blush was going to take a little bit longer, but I still have 5 highlighters to go through. I have one pulled out today, like a new one, meaning like one that I haven't used yet today. So I have my hands crossed. I'm a little chilly. Maybe if I wasn't showing so much of my bosom, I wouldn't be so cold. Also, energy is lower, but not bad energy, not tired energy. Just like it's a Friday as I record this, so you know the work week is over. I'm feeling. I have a lot to do this weekend too. The energy is probably gonna stay here. But if you're new here, this isn't always the energy. The energy goes where it goes. But also whenever you're doing a video every day of the month, you're gonna get all aspects of emotion. So on my Instagram, and if you're interested in following me on Instagram and you aren't already, that's in my link tree down below. You can follow me there or not, but a couple of times throughout this project, I've had my Instagram followers vote on which palette I should use. So I threw up a poll of 2 different palettes, and the gold palette won. I like the greener aspects of the gold palette. I mean, obviously I love all of it. I do, but I always want to use like one of these 4 shades whenever I've played with this. Like those are the shades that like my fingers consistently go into. However, oh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to use this. I thought I might be able to use that with this shade. I don't think I'm going to. So I guess I could do green, but actually I do want to challenge myself to stay in the bronzier arena. Okay, but the thing is, let me show you some of the other things that I'm going to be forced to use today. So my confidence in this look is like not super high. It's not feeling like, I'm not feeling my best, you know? I also will be using the Natasha Denona bronzer. I'm just gonna go into that one again. Again, we're not doing the whole face thing. Again, we're lower energy. We're keeping it casual this Friday night. Casual, well, I'm gonna post this on Sunday, so this Sunday, well, or whatever you're watching it, whatever day. So bronzer is that, but we're down to my last blush, and it is my Chantecaille Bliss Butterfly. And I mean, it's pretty neutral. I think it leans a little bit cool. It is also not the most visible blush I own, which is not a problem. It's just a fact. Okay, I'm gonna take my glasses off, so I'm gonna be like squinting a little bit more because they can't see very well. They can't see very well. So let's take a look at the gold palette. We're gonna do a very easy eye shape again today because that's where I'm at. But I think tomorrow we're gonna have to do something a little bit more. Tomorrow is my friend David's birthday, and he dresses really nice. He dresses like, you know how I dressed on vacation? If you saw my video where like when I was packing and what I packed, he dresses like that. The makeup will have to be extravagant, and he's a drag performer, and I think a lot of drag performer friends will be there. So we got to dress to impress and do makeup to impress tomorrow. But I think as far as mattes go, I do want to use this mustard shade. Sometimes when I look at this palette, the neutral, like the neutral shades, like these three, they're not like the most similar in pan, but swatched, you can see that there is some like nuances to them. So that's something to keep in mind. And then this dark brown is like very dark. This is a really dark brown. I know that I just did a gold lid with something very so pretty. This is just like that shade in the Color Rain palette. Oh my god, it is like the exact same shade. Okay, let me keep perusing. So that's like not a very fun shade. We could go brown. We could just do a brown. Cause like that is really pretty. Sometimes when you get into your like basic, when you're feeling basic Becky, it's very easy to be like, oh wow, how beautiful a brown. Actually, if I use this brown, how similar is it to this? Because I might be able to use this as well. We might be able to work something else into the, oh, this is like this, like the same exact color. Or is it darker? It is more, it's like more taupey. Here, let me swatch Things Impossible. So that's the Natasha Denona. That is the Pat McGrath single that I just swatched. I could, but I don't think that's it. I don't think that's the move today, my loves. I think I want to do the brown on my lid. All right. And then we'll throw on Kava or Sparks or both or one. Because when we're playing with the gold palette, you know, it's a thing that's like, I'm never gonna not think of Hannah Louise Poston when playing with my gold palette. I'm just not. And I think that that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing. Also, I think HLP would approve of like using that brown on the lid. Although she does her makeup in such an interesting way that's just like so different, because she talked about in one video how she like doesn't like a structured eye, and like that's like really what I do, is like I just default to a structured eye where I'm like this, and I know that the eye doesn't have to be like that, and I've broken those rules before, but you know, sometimes your brain goes there. Transition, here we go. Transition, crease, outer corner, lid, and then Sparks of Kava. Isn't it funny that those are the only two shade names I know? I could know all of them, but I rip out that plastic thing so fast. I've said this many times on my channel where it's like, I like really don't need to know the names of the shades. Like that's not something that I am interested in keeping up in the noggin or even like looking at, because I just like don't care to. If you are new here, there are parts that I kind of like titter tatter through. Like we don't spend a lot of time with them because they've happened in every video. So I've been using the MAC Paint Pot and Painterly to prime my eyes in every video. And then for setting my face, I will use a combination of the Chantecaille blurring powder and the translucent setting powder from Laura Mercier. So whenever it comes to that part of the video, I will kind of skip through. This paint pot was kind of like almost brand new. I had barely started it before this project, and now there's a pretty good divot in it. And like to me, it's just like, oh wow, this is what happens when you use your makeup. Although eye primers are not something I bring into my collection a lot, but I also like, I've never been like an everyday makeup wearer. Like that's just not really. I do want to wear a lot more makeup next year. I have said this before. I've been thinking, the beautiful, wonderful Megan, one of my subscribers, Megan, reached out to me on Instagram, and we had started chatting. And we were talking about loving our collections as they are, and that was like kind of the main point that we were talking about, and like how this project, she said how this project inspired her to love her collection the way that her collection currently exists too. And I was like, you know, that's very exciting to hear as a creator, or just as a, like, you know, I'm excited that this project has sparked joy for some people. It's like one of those things that I feel like every creator on this platform that is like a makeup wearer could do, and it would just be interesting no matter who did it. We were talking about this, and so I think we've all noticed that it's pretty easy for me to say like no to a complexion product and let that go. But what I clocked, and like what I said to Megan, a lot of the complexion products that I've let go in this, like decluttered in this series, were things that I received in gratis. So the Milk Hydro Grip was something I received in gratis. All of the concealers I've decluttered thus far have been in gratis. The foundations that I haven't liked have been received in gratis. The foundations that I have purchased have all remained though. And what that says to me, what that made me realize, even though I was shopping too much, I did shop too much, and I know that, I'm cognizant of it. The thing is, a lot of the stuff that I have, like, that I brought into my collection with purpose, so like things that I bought, most of that stuff is stuff that has remained. The only thing thus far that I think I decluttered that like is something that I paid money for, and quite a bit of money, was the Pat McGrath Mothership 2, which I decluttered earlier this year. That last shade I used was that cream shade, and now I'm gonna go into the mustard shade and put that in the crease. Everything else I've used that I brought into my own collection has been lovely. Like, I was just talking about the Queen of Hearts palette and how great it is, and it worked so great for me yesterday, and it's like I'm looking forward to using it again. But also the EBH the EBH Draciana palette also worked really well for me. And then also, like, so these are palettes that I'm not reaching for that often, and they worked so well. And it's like such a shame, because I get it, right? We have such a high turnover in what's new in beauty, and I understand wanting to keep your collection exciting to you. But like, what is the proper way to do that? I don't know that I'm ever gonna be like a project planner, but I also want to be like cognizant that I have so many beautiful things. It's like a twofold thing, right? Because I would really like to keep using, these palettes that I know that I don't have all the time in the world for, because it's been hard enough to it's gonna be hard enough to get through all of the palettes I have in a set time. Now, I'm definitely gonna do some things to curb that in the new year. I haven't figured out what those are. Anyway, that was kind of the point of the story. It was like, I think what's going to happen is at the end of this, there are going to be some eyeshadows that they're going to be put to the test. So one off the top of my head that I know is going to, this falls into this category, is Mothership 4 from Pat McGrath. Because I would say that of the things that you probably were able to clock it was probably the one I was least excited to use. I was a little bit confused by it. It didn't understand it. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad palette, but okay, I'm taking the dark brown and putting it in the outer corner. It doesn't mean it was a bad palette, but I want to see if after a couple of uses, purposeful uses of that palette, can I figure it out? And will it fight its way into my collection? Because I think it'd be really easy for me to say that no, I don't want it in my collection anymore, just because I tried it once and didn't like it. Well, the thing is, it's already here. So I think it's a shame for me to use it, which I think I only ever used it. That was the first time I ever used it. To use it one time and then call it on it. Because I just don't think that's the right answer either. And what's funny was, whenever I was editing that video, I don't think I've mentioned this, I really liked the way the color story looked on camera. And it was weird because I didn't see it that way when I was using it for the first time. And I have to admit, I was a little bit tired and a little overwhelmed with the project in that very moment. That was it was one of the videos that I definitely have felt the most defeated during. So I think that's also unfair to the palette because I wasn't at my best. But it still created a beautiful look. So I don't think it was a complete bust. It was just, I want to give it a fair shot. And I think there are some other palettes that I can do that with. I've been threatening this video for a long time, but at the end of this project, at the beginning of next year, there's going to be a real big retrospective about this. And we're going to take a look at all the things that I decluttered during this. And we're going to take a look at all of the things that I need more time to be critical of, is probably the best way to put it. I'm done talking. I'm gonna put that beautiful brown shimmer all over the lid. I'm gonna use my finger because why not? The way that this looked so much more brown when I swatched it on my hand and darker, and now that I'm putting on the eyelids, it's almost night and day. It's day and night. While this is not the eye look that I would typically gravitate towards, this is really beautiful. This is really beautiful. Okay, we're gonna take Kava, and we're gonna do what Kava does. I don't know if you have the gold palette. If you bought it after being someone who watched Hannah Louise Poston, even if you didn't just buy it like here at the tail end of its life, you know, because I bought it after it had been discontinued. Did Sparks and Kava like live up to your expectations? It's like a real genuine question because they do. They do. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right. Gold palette. We did it. I'm kind of, well, you know, it's, to be fair to me and to this palette is that I was like, I felt like this wasn't my favorite look. Like, you know, obviously I have full autonomy of what happens during this project and the eye looks that I put together. This palette is like, this is like not what I would normally do with this palette. Well, this is very gorgeous and stunning. I like the greens, and that's, you know, I talk so much about green, but then I've been doing gold looks, you know, but I didn't use, like, I would have put that one on the lid, this one right here, except I literally just put a shade that looked like that on my lid the other day. The last time I used this palette on camera, I used the greens, and I used it on camera. This is like the palette that sparked this thing. Like, it was like, products I don't have a relationship, I want to foster a relationship with. This was like this is what I pulled out for that video before the rest of this. So I figured we should go the other way. And it's beautiful. It's feeling very like, it's very like honey. Like the honey palette from Urban Decay. It's giving me that vibe. Oh my God, if you have this palette and you ever wanted the honey palette, you have the honey palette. You have it better. I'm gonna go ahead and just call that for you right now. I'm very excited to use this next product again. You may recall that I tried the Lineage Glowy makeup serum in a video not that long ago, and we got on very well. So I've been very excited to cycle through my primers again and be able to pull them out and try this one again. So here we are, trying it again. I'm gonna put it on my face. We're gonna see if I like it as much as I liked it last time, because we're gonna be using it with we're gonna try it with a different foundation. It makes my skin feel just as good as it did the first time. What a promising addition to my collection. Like, well, when I say addition, luckily I was going through my skincare closet and I like saw this and I was like, hello you. And then I tried it and it's been love at first sight. I think I remember whenever I worked at Sephora and I got this, I remember trying it and being like, I don't understand this. But at the time I think I was leaning more matte, like just leaning more into like wanting to use matte, but 2 times, well, I haven't put foundation on it yet, so let us not get ahead of ourselves. I'm gonna be using the Mcgrath Labs foundation, and we've already used this once in this project, so I'm not gonna really talk about it. I'm gonna be using a different brush because the other foundation brush I typically use with it, I think it has too much foundation gunked up in it right now, and you know, we don't want all that. Okay, I have something to report. Now, I've worn this Pat McGrath foundation plenty of times to know the finish of it when you put it on. This is the glowiest it's ever looked. I'm just saying, if you're also new here and you haven't watched the rest of the project, also if you want to watch the whole thing, I have a playlist that has all of the videos in chronological order, so you can kind of see how we've gotten here. But if you are new here, a joy and a treat and a delight that this has brought to me, this Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. I had never really tried and tested this before, but people, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, this, I've been loving this concealer, so I'm excited to use it again. I like the concealers just flip-flopped out of the box and we're going through them again. And I was so excited to try this. This is the third time I'll be using this, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be able to use it again. I'm gonna do my powdering process. I was double making sure that I didn't have any creams that I needed to lay down first, and then we will be right back with the cheeks. And then I'm also gonna contour with the Rodial contour powder. This is also standard fare for these videos. I am back, and we are gonna be using the Natasha Denona bronzer in the Tan Bronze and Glow palette. I don't know if you can tell from the camera and the amount of flashback but like the way I blow out the camera with the paleness of my skin, the fairness of my skin. This is a little bit dark, so if you do have fair skin and you have this and you've been like afraid of using it, tap it in, tap it off, and then I would say stipple it first. This is what I found the last time I used it. That was very successful. Stipple it first and then that's on that. Period, full stop. And next we're gonna be using the Chantecaille Bliss Butterfly Blush. So part of the project, if you are new here, is that I kind of try to pretend I'm experiencing things for the first time. So let's talk about just this. So this is from Chantecaille. This is like itty bitty. Like this is itty bitty. Let me grab another blush. Hourglass blush, Chantecaille. You're not, hold on, let's read. So the Hourglass blush, you get 4.2 grams in here, and then in the Chantecaille blush, you get 2.5 grams. Now I'm gonna read what was in this is a deluxe size sample from Rodial. It also has 2.5 grams in it. So this is free. This is free. This costs $40, I believe. Now, these are refillable. So if I ever were to use this blush up entirely, I can pop out the back and get either the same shade or get a different shade. I probably wouldn't get this shade again because, as you will see here, it's kind of light. It's just not the most impactful shade. There's not really a scent to it. It has beautiful embossing, but there is an overspray on it. So once you start using it, you kind of lose that. Here's the thing. I think what I see with my eyes whenever I'm watching BeautyTube, especially with people and especially with creators who use a higher end product, they seem to be, and this isn't calling anyone out, they are very precious of the embossing, and so they'll try to like work around embossings, beautiful embossings. That's not what makeup is for. Now, if you want to collect makeup and never use it and then you like the embossing, like that's one thing, but that's not who I am. So you will notice that I am using, this is a different brush than I normally use. So I've been using this shape of a brush for my blushes for the most part, but because this one's so light, I want something more densely packed while I use this blush. And I'm gonna go ahead and probably call it now. You're not gonna be able to see this blush on camera, but we'll see. Like Hourglass, what's nice, at least of this shade of the Chantecaille blushes, is there's a nice sheen to them and you can build them up as much as you want. And there's like a lot of room for error, right? So you can keep going and going if you want. And I don't think like it would take a lot to get a blush look that ends up being too much with this. But it is just, so like I said earlier, this is just like a pale pink shade. It's not really the best shade for the look we have going on today, but I'm gonna try to zoom you in and see it because I know whenever I put highlight and other things on, some things get lost in translation. So I'm gonna, wow, it's like you really can't even see it. Cause like that visible redness, that is from my cheek. That is like what is coming through the foundation. It does add a nice flush. And I think whenever I'm wearing less makeup on my eyes and like not really doing this much, it's a very beautiful product. But I think it's not, this is not the, what do they call that whenever you're doing science? Like the variables involved right now are not to its favor. Moving right along, we're gonna play with this from Ritual Defeat. No, we're not done with Ritual Defeat. This is the shade Phosphine. This is the highlighter. This is a newer acquirement. This is more newly acquired than a lot of my other Ritual Defeat. It smells like a Ritual Defeat product. Again, I don't know that I can explain that other than having tried a bunch of Ritual Defeat products, is that they all have this same smell, but it doesn't, I don't know what the smell is. I don't know what that scent is to tell you what it is. And I don't think it is a scent that they are putting into the products. I just think that whatever ingredients they are using happen to smell like this. This is why I tried to show you the blush before I put on the highlight. I love it so much. Oh my God, look how beautiful it is. This is one of the rare light luminizers, so this one doesn't have any of the glitter in it, but it's still so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna spray my face and then put on mascara, and then all we have left is a lippy. Let me just check my lip drawer real quick to see if there's not something else I want to use. I think this is going to be the best option. Today we're going to be using Trinket from Sugar Pill. The smell of a Sugar Pill lipstick is really hard to describe because they smell tart. They smell like a candy that would deceive you. But it's not vanilla. It's not like chocolate either. It's like, I don't know. I'm sure that they probably tell you it's like scented like this on their website, but I really don't know. I'm going to apply this real quick and then we're going to talk about it, because the thing about this liquid lipstick, and I'll show you whenever we do the close-up, is that it has magical properties. I'm gonna zoom you in so we can take a look at skin. Okay, let's take a look at the eye. You know, this project is kind of making me really like a gold eye. How about that? Let's take a look at the cheek. Again, you really can't see the blush, but the highlighter is really doing its job. Look at that mascara clump. You know, as I've been using this fetishized mascara, I don't know that I like it. I don't know that I like it. Look at the under eye. Look at that concealer. This is Trinket. The whole thing is once it dries, you go or you can, like, you know, press your lips together. Then it reveals more of the gold shimmer that exists in the formula. Now's the time and space in the video where we reflect on everything we used today. The gold palette from Natasha Denona. As always, a treat and a dream. Honestly, didn't think that when I used these layered together that we were going to get something that looked like this, but it's very beautiful. I, again, just want to say that I tend to want to mix like the golds and the greens whenever I'm playing with this palette, but it was interesting to just do the golds because it is the gold palette. I enjoyed playing with all of it. So one thing I did note, this is just from swatching, this shade is weird. Like, I don't know. It's really weird. It doesn't have the pigmentation, but what I can tell you is it's pressed very similar to this, which this is a cream to powder product. So I'm wondering if that's the same and that's why it feels weird. So I'm wondering if it's like one of those things where it's like it's designed so like perfect, like to layer, like they want you to layer it to give you more impact. Like that could be what it's for, because and the only reason I have that thought is because whenever I got the gold pigment from Mcgrath, it came with a cream shadow and it was like layer them together for higher impact of the gold. That might be what that's for, but it is an outlier in this palette. But treat and dream, beautiful blendability, beautiful pigmentation. we love to see it. The Glowy Makeup Serum from Lineage continues to do her best, does what she does best, and really made the Pat McGrath foundation look really great. And I like the Pat McGrath foundation as it is already, but it just punched up a notch. It made it very glowy. Like my skin looks really, it looks healthy, radiant. I don't think it looks too glowy. It looks just right. So again, we put it in the box, and again, I can't wait to use it again in the next cycle. If you are new here, I am planning on using this up, but not repurchasing it. I did a full review of this. If you are interested in hearing my detailed thoughts, I will leave that in the description box below. It's great. It's great. I don't know that I would pay for it again. It's kind of what it boils down to. Just like the Glowy Makeup Serum, this concealer continues to impress me every time I use it. I like the way it looks under my eyes. I think it has the elasticity to allow things to move. It's just so gorge. It is incredibly gorge, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy this project brought this to light, brought this to my forefront of my mind. Oh, I'm so excited. This might be my favorite concealer, because for a while I thought it was going to be the Touche Cloud, but I don't know. I think that this will be the one that I would, of all of the concealers I've tried that I have in my collection right now, if this one was emptied tomorrow or you took this away from me, I would immediately go buy it based on my experiences during this project. But what's great is that likely no one's going to steal this from me, and I have a lot of it still to go. I actually am really enjoying this matte bronzer, like this bronzer in this palette. Like, I think it looks really good, and it's not too much, and I've learned how to control it. And without all of the other things, it's a very just beautiful, it's a beautiful product all by itself, removed from all of the other beautiful things that this palette contains. This was so if you're new here, this was actually in my Purgatory box, and my Purgatory box is back there. That's what you see reflecting gold, that all of my Purgatory stuff is in that box. And I wasn't including them in this project. And the one day I sat down and thought, I would really like to play with that again, just for the matte bronzer. And so this is the second time it's cycled through. This palette is feeling more and more wearable and inclusive to my collection, which is great. The butterfly blush from Chantecaille did not do her best today, but she was in a tough fight, because the thing is that I did a very dramatic eye look, and then that bronzer is pretty heavy, and then I layered it with something that's very impactful on top of it. So it didn't have its best opportunity, because I think this look is good for like a lesser makeup look, a no makeup look, where like if I was just doing just like the easiest, breeziest of looks, that's where this really shines. But so it didn't shine today. That's okay. That's the nature of the product. But what this means, dear friends, what this means is that blushes have been completed. I have no more blushes in the drawer. We have cycled through all of my blushes, which is exciting to say. It's exciting to say. So in my drawer, there are only 5 highlights. So in my cheek drawer, there are only 5 highlights. And what I actually did is I moved all of my Pat McGrath palettes down into the eyeshadow drawer. So I actually have an empty drawer. I'm so excited about that. I'm delighted and excited about that. So we're gonna put this back into rotation. Maybe relatively soon I can pull this back out again, because I have the Glossier skin tint that's in my foundation rotation. So whenever we pull that out, maybe we'll play with her again, and we'll do something very simple on the eye, because I have a couple quads left that have more gentle pigmentation. So there's a time and a space for this in the future. Phosphine Rare Light Luminizer from Ritual de Fille. Can you even? I love these. I love Ritual de Fille highlighters. Any of them. Any formula, any type. I'm here for it. And I think you know that because of the sheer amount that I have, and that made it through my cheek declutter, like all of my highlighters did. It's just, I mean, come on, this is stupid. The Sugar Pill lipstick. I think this might be on its last leg. It was really dry when I put it on. It was not performing at its best. It still went on. It still did its thing, but I feel like it's not long for this world, just how not liquidy it is. All right, that wraps up today's video. I thank you all so much for watching. And if you are new here and enjoyed today's content, would love to have you subscribe. Don't forget about the playlist of this project down below. I'm also on Patreon if you want to support me there. I think that's it. I'm ready to wash my face and go to bed, babes. I appreciate you all so much for watching, and remember to follow your hote, and you will find me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Have a great day, friends.